Welcome back on theCUBE's live stream here in San Diego for FinOps X 2026. I'm John Furrier, your host of theCUBE, with my co-host Paul Nashwati from the CUBE Research. Breaking down all the FinOps action as tokenomics it comes into the equation. You're starting to see cloud spend, on-premise activity in the data center, so much activity. Tim Cassell's here, head of products for nOps. He's got the keys to the kingdom and the product group. Tim, great to see you. You got a job to do. You got a changing market, growing market, relevance is going through the roof, money's being instrumented. It's not just cost control, cost takeout. There's revenue on the table with Gen AI and AI agents driving value. Right. And so cost, revenue, cost, profit, it's a money game.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? So I'm probably someone who's seen a lot of this throughout the history, right, man? I mean, I came to the Bay Area in the 90s, right, as some young kid, and saw the first boom and thought that was crazy. Yeah. Right? Moved over to, I was working at Accenture, and it was just, I always tell people the 90s was unbelievable. Then, had a kid, went over to PayPal, and being able to see crazy innovation over there, then eventually found where we were focusing on, 1 hour of the year, right? Building all this capacity for 1 hour a year for a data center, right? After that, moved over to a startup called Workday, right? And that's where I discovered Amazon, right? And it was just this newer thing, and I thought that was the biggest thing. And it reminds me of like where we're going now with AI. But what's going on now, it is unbelievably how different this one is, right? And we're really trying to embrace it here at nOps, and it's one of the greatest tools.
Yeah, the exponential. It's like all those waves combined into one times 100.
The speed is insane, right? I'll just use a simple example at nOps, right? I mean, I kind of tie it to like a little bit over a year ago, right? Where we embraced it, right? I'm an idea guy, right? And then you have engineers and trying to translate taking what's crazy in my mind, and then an engineer, and then they're trying to understand me, and next thing I know, it's rinse and repeat, and 3 months have gone by, right? Right. And now I have the power of taking those ideas and being able to build something very, very fast and get feedback very quickly. So and we really embraced. We even rewrote our entire application.
Well, you have to,
or AI.
right? You have to. I mean, even take this show for example. This show has evolved over the years, right? And like cloud optimization was really really the main focus. Yep. But when we look at things with AI in play and how organizations are really capturing the obvious savings around cloud, has optimization plateaued?
No, I mean it's the easy stuff has. Yeah. Right? Yeah. The easy stuff, right, is the way I look at it as, the typical, and we focus a lot on the commitment side of the fence and try, and not just doing sort of these big bang, like I'm going to just, put a big bet on the table, and hope and pray for 3 years, right? And really locking you in. We do a lot of things that optimize that throughout to really reduce the risk. And so I look at that more of, I follow one of these podcasts, Acquire. I don't know if you're familiar with it, right? Yeah. And so when FinOps started, right, way back, several years ago, right, it was something that people could latch onto, right? You didn't really have to think about architecture and stuff like that. And most people were coming up from more of a finance procurement background
side,
and not sort of this engineering kind of focus. And so, yes. So they spend a lot of time on that, right? And that's great, right? But to really make an impact, right, is like, why am I getting discounts on I'm sorry, I will say.
You can say shit.
Yeah. Why are you getting discounts on a bunch of shit you don't need, right? And that really requires more engineering focus and being able to match supply and demand, right? And that's the hard stuff, right? So it hasn't plateaued. It's more of, it's transitioning into more of the high, and that's where AI is coming into play, right? And I think that's why we're starting to see a little bit more angst around that.
Yeah,
right?
I would probably call it more of an like an operational optimization maturity, right? It's like, you know, there's different levels and different organizations have different maturity in their journey, right? So if they're in kind of the image, or early stages of it, they might be doing the low-hanging fruit, right? Trying to figure that out. But then as they're like all that it gets optimized, then it's like now you have to move up the stack.
You got to move up the stack, right? And that's where it gets a little bit more uncomfortable.
I want to ask you a question. You mentioned angst, anxiety, angst, same thing. I remember talking to Andy Jassy at a hockey game one time about, he was talking about the business and how he's forecasting. And he said, oh, we're doing locking in these long-term contracts.
Yeah.
And the analysts don't understand the discounting and how it relates to the quarters. Different conversation, but my point is that those long-term contracts for AWS are cost opportunities. So that's out there. Second thing is that the data centers and the enterprises are back because you're having hybrid distributed computing happening. Right. And all the users that are adopting AI inside the company who work inside the firewall are using tokens. But they're going to the cloud for that, so the cloud wins. But now there's talk of putting AI factories in the enterprise, like old school days. Small little cluster, manage the tokens internally, so there's now a whole kind of like networked token economy.
Right.
What's your reaction? Because now long-term contracts is kind of, I won't say lock-in, but I'll say it, like commitment.
Right.
Now you have the shift to on-premises.
Right.
Which is not just repatriation, it's integrated.
Right.
How does FinOps rationalize that in your mind? Because that's a perfect opportunity to come in and slice and dice to levels of granularity to understand that.
And like I said, I hear a lot of what's going on here, and there's like I said, a lot of angst around this, right? But and I keep on going back to when the cloud and Amazon first started, right? There was tons of that back then too. But the biggest difference right now is we were all solving it by ourselves, right? We were all doing our own little thing and trying to solve that. And then a group kind of came together and then they started to share same side. So the advantage that I see the FinOps in doing this right now with this whole token economics, if I screw up the name or whatever the hell they're calling
Tokenomics.
Right? It's the right move. So the point I'm trying to get to is we've learned a lot, right? A lot of new, folks in FinOps maybe didn't walk that journey, right? They got it once it was already kind of established, right? Well, guess what? We started, it's no different to me. It's absolutely no different, right? I mean, it's something new, it's a different language, it's something, we always had a cost and a return of investment and all this kind of stuff. It's just different data sets, different ways of thinking that
you're right.
that do that.
I agree with you. That it is different, but where it's the same, but it's different, right? But the difference, I think, between a cloud optimization strategy and an AI optimization strategy is you kind of nailed it. The fact is there's more hands in on AI than there were on cloud, right? And enterprises have this gap now, right? So they may have done, AWS or GCP or Azure optimization around the cloud, right? Great, fantastic. They've optimized, they know it. But now there's a gap in enterprises that are saying, well, now that they have this multi-cloud reality that's in place, right? But then on top of that, now you're layering in AI. And by the way, it's not just your tech teams, it's your marketing and your sales and your finance and everybody else is touching it. So that's a reality too.
And it just kind of comes down to the same basic blocking and tackling. Is the way sometimes we just got to get back to the basics and the discipline, right? You can't solve what you can't see, right? And it's a different type of data set, a different, what I always find interesting about the AI space is a little bit different than the cloud. To kind of throw that out, you got a lot more people in there, right? It's interesting. We were just talking to some of the marketing stuff. I didn't know they were even doing some of this stuff, and it was just great to see them embracing the technology. But what's cool about this data set that AI brings that the cloud didn't is so much richer on what's in there, right? It's not just what I sent it, but what are the results, right? And so I'll be honest with you. Once you figure out that data set, you're going to be able to measure the actual results much easy, at least in my opinion. It's going to take some time and wrangling, but you'll be able to measure that ROI easier than it was in the cloud, right? Because it was separate, right?
Yeah.
Talk about the cloud relationship to AI, because we were talking earlier, a bunch of other folks, experts and practitioners, that if you were doing the cloud, you had good prep for AI.
Yep.
I think I use the term middle of the fairway. You're ready for the next shot.
Talking my game, my
man. A little golf game. If you're in the cloud game, they've done their work, the ball's in the middle of the fairway, now you got the next shot.
Yep.
Is AI, so it's a lot of synergies. How should people think, in your opinion, around how to leverage that experience with AI now? Velocity's higher, more tools, more vendors, more practitioners, more people in the community. How do you go from that middle of the fairway cloud spending journey and take to the next shot?
Yeah, I mean, it's to me, and I'm sorry, I'm a simple West Virginia guy, right? I mean, these problems to me have always been the same, right? It's just different technology and different things, right? So, like I said, it's because it's so unknown, right? Or we're not as comfortable with the type of data that we're getting that we were traditionally getting to help our businesses, I think is driving a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
And so, once you start to understand that underlying data, it's still the same shit that we've been doing since the beginning of time, to me, right? And so once we get, and that's why, once again, why I loved, and I'll be honest with you, I wasn't so much the biggest fan of it sometimes, the FinOps thing, because I wasn't thinking it was that innovating. But what he did, like being able to break this off, and because we don't know all the answers, and being able to get it at the beginning versus like in the cloud time, we'd already started, right? And then we're trying to wrangle it in. Here we're at the beginning and being able to define that and maybe have a little bit more, how would I say it, more influence into how all this information can be kind of normalized to help companies. But you brought up the greatest point, right? It's not just a bunch of engineers using it now, right? It's everybody in the organization, right? You're taking, my favorite new tool is CoWork, right? I love it. I want it to be my single point for everything I do, right? And it's not, and then engineers are Cursor or different tools, right? And so once you are able to start to wrangle that in, right, and be able to realize that you will be able to measure that value, I think it's going to be an exciting time. I'm not as scared about it as others, because I just look at it as like, the internet was different,
and you lived through some other waves.
You've lived through a lot of these waves, and it's no different. It is the only difference is how fast it is, right? And that moves the ball, and got the the new shiny this. It's like just getting back to basics.
It's like pro sports. Just the pace of play is higher.
Oh yeah,
and faster game.
It's a faster game.
And so I guess my final question for you is, what's the future of FinOps? Because remember, you have all these other adjacencies in the technology stack. IMAP, SAM, and all coming together, because they have to come together and not be siloed. What's your view?
I think it's going to be less of like what I would say reporting, bookkeeping, right? And providing that to more of an advisor role, right? Because you're going to have a lot of the blocking and tackling. You can have agents do that today, right? Yeah. And so it's going to have more influence on what is it that we go after and get returns. So more of an advisory versus a bookkeeper versus advisor. Right?
Yeah, reporting. Analytics used to be dashboards. Now you got value. So
I mean, the way we use it, man, I just want, I still like to see the pictures, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, what is that picture telling me now?
Yeah.
Right? instead of me going through and I can get it, is now I can leverage the agentic stuff to help me tell what is that story.
And the real-time nature.
Oh,
Tim,
yeah.
great to have you on.
Awesome.
Very dynamic. I'm giving us a lot of energy here. In the field. And we'll see you on the golf course.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, I'm John
Thanks,
Furrier with Paul Nashwati here at FinOps X in San Diego. People are chill here, hanging out, but they're solving a lot of big problems. An engineering game, and it's going to report in on what's going on with the money and the tokens and the platforms all coming together. Thanks for watching.